He reminded me a lot of, if you've ever seen Silicon Valley, of the Gavin Belson version.
Yes. Yeah. But not the evil part of that. Yeah.
Not the evil part, but definitely like. And we're back from the SwampUP 2025 conference hosted by JFrog, and we got a lot to talk about. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and let's get into it.
All right. Thanks, Alex. Yeah, it was a great conference.
Number 10 for you? What was it, 10, 11?
I think this is 9th. I think
Ninth,
this was
okay.
the 10th JFrog conference, and it was the 9th one that I attended.
Ooh, almost a perfect attendance record here.
Almost. I don't know what I was doing that first year, but
probably figuring out what JFrog was.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, this was my first one, and I quite enjoyed it. It was fun. Lots of great announcements, lots of great atmosphere. I think being in Napa, never been, but it was some good vibes in Napa, and I really, really like how they took the swamp theme to heart.
Yes, a lot of frogs and footprints throughout the conference. That
noise makers. They made it sound like you were in an actual swamp. Like I thought I was in the Jungle Cruise for a second.
You're looking for all the dad jokes.
Yeah.
Let's recap what last year's announcements were and how do we feel they stood up to this year's conference. What came true? What fell short?
Yep.
So, and my concern going into the conference, and it wasn't a strong concern, but my concern was I didn't see a lot of evidence of adoption of the GitHub integration. I just don't have a lot of customers that are using both products to determine if that was a successful announcement from last year. And then I was wondering where they're going with their everyops vision. It was a really big portion of the 2024 conference, and I hadn't heard much about it throughout the calendar year between the 2024 and the 2025 conference. So, but I think if we go from top to bottom here, I think I heard something about each one of these at the 2025 conference, and that these were all successful. So, other than the GitHub integration and everyops vision, I had firsthand knowledge or firsthand experience that the JFrog runtime was successful. This last year, the JFrog ML and their partnerships mainly with NVIDIA and the GitHub and the Dell partnership were successful. But the first day with the keynotes, they came out and probably the very first phrase they said talked about their everyops vision and dove deeper into what they mean by everyops, which to me is just a bigger umbrella on top of all of software development to include AI is their everyops vision. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, no, Shlomi is Shlomi.
Yeah.
Shlomi. He's definitely a showman. He's definitely one of these, like, he reminded me a lot of, if you've ever seen Silicon Valley, of the Gavin Belson version.
Yes. Yeah. But not the evil part of that. Yeah.
Not the evil part, but definitely like the showmanship part of it, like brings out his billionaire friends and just hangs out, put them on a seat somewhere.
Yeah. He had some pretty high-powered guests up there on the stage with him. Right at that very first opening keynote.
Yeah. We had one of the VPs at NVIDIA. We had the CEO of Sonar, which makes Sonar Cube.
Yeah.
Right. And
which we had a confusion on a couple episodes back.
And we had to ask them, so we went straight to the source. Apparently, they just dropped the second part of their name. They're just Sonar.
Yeah.
And then there was another gentleman, I'm forgetting on the name, but I think they had 3 or 4 people up there.
Yeah, they had someone from GitHub or Microsoft up.
Oh no, it was one of the executives over here at the company we don't talk about on ServiceNow.
Oh yeah, ServiceNow was very big. I completely forgot about that because normally I'm doing competitive products to ServiceNow. So is that a thing that I pick up on?
I almost felt guilty sitting down in the ServiceNow chair. Should have taken it to send it to my other group.
Yeah.
My biggest takeaway from the entire conference, though, if I had to sum it all up, was I think the whole like vibe coding developers of the future are basically like dead on arrival, because AI is gonna redo like just do everything. Like I think I walked out of this conference believing in the opposite, that
Mhm.
the role and the responsibility of the developer is most likely going to change, right? They probably just won't be writing code as much anymore, but there's so much that goes into delivering a software product, right? Which is this every ops
Mhm.
vision here, right?
Yeah.
There's so much that goes, like just writing the code is like such a small fraction of
Mhm.
the challenge.
Yeah.
And there's just no way, like AI's there, like the way they were pitching it, right? There was no mention of like, okay, AI is going to replace all the pipelines and everything else you got to do, but AI is there to help us out.
Yeah. To help orchestrate all that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just
Yeah.
don't think that you can orchestrate without a physical conductor.
No, no, I don't think so either.
And so,
So,
yeah, I think software developers will become conductors, and JFrog's definitely going to be at the forefront of facilitating the interoperability between all the different things that need to happen in order to get a piece of software from idea to delivery.
mhm. Yeah, I think JFrog is doing a very good job keeping themselves relevant in the entire, the everyops vision is starting to make sense. Where when I originally heard it the first year, I was like, oh, they're making up their own buzzword. And while that's
We
true,
joked
it
about that,
was,
right? We joked about that in one episode, right? We were like
mhm,
DevOps, GovOps.
yeah, yeah. Well, in fact, let's jump. So let's give them a grade on, I think they get an A+ or an S, depending on how, if we're using the internet or the social media grading system. I think they knocked it out, being able to hit everything that they announced last year. Where I can't say the same for other tech conferences I go to. That half the stuff they announce on the main stage doesn't come to fruition within that next year.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, most of the time they take 364 out of the 365 days to get it
yeah,
to work.
yeah. So it's like, oh, it's now in beta now, and in time for
Yeah.
the next conference.
I think the most notorious one, have you seen the Apple one with their air mat? Their power
I
mat?
don't follow Apple,
You don't
so.
follow. So
And
Apple.
in fact, I want to address real quick, not to sidetrack you here, but we in the comment section we do have a very lively commenter, which is great, and really appreciate you, Mark. And but he wants us to lay off one of your favorite go-to talking points. Um,
I haven't read our comment. We're not. I'm not allowed to talk about Elon anymore.
exactly. So you knew what I was talking about.
You
So
can't
we're
talk
gonna.
about software delivery in the future of it without talking about Tesla. I just think it's
Tesla's a
really
great
hard.
example. However, I do think that a lot of the goodness that comes out of some of the companies is not because of the particular owner of the companies. Um,
I would argue that the visionary definitely drives the innovation forward.
yeah, yeah,
And we have
and
very few people that drive innovation. This is why I like Shlomi, right? Like I feel like Shlomi, I
mhm,
started off saying like, hey, he's a great showman.
yeah,
And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think
no,
his CTO, I love how they announced it. CTO and founder and creator of Artifactory. I
yeah,
think he lets him run with the technical aspects of the
yeah,
company. But clearly, Shalami is out there figuring out how do we grow this business
yeah,
bigger and bigger and bigger.
yeah. And I believe I introduced you to the person who really runs JFrog um, at one of
Their
the after hour
chief
parties.
revenue officer, right?
Yeah, I think that's her title. I can never remember her
Yeah,
exact title,
yeah,
but I
chief
think that's,
revenue.
yeah, yeah. And she's I think the three of them together are doing an outstanding job with JFrog. I was a couple of years ago. I've always been a fan, but I was a little worried. But that doesn't hold
Yeah,
true
you
anymore.
know what also stands out though. Mike told me this. I had when I was talking with Mike Cannon-Brook, CEO of Atlassian. I made him a comment of like, I don't know, like, aren't you sad because Mike is a tech founder, right? And
Mhm.
so tech founders, just to define it, is when you're the CEO of the company, but you're also the person that created the product.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if Shlomi would be a tech founder because I don't think he makes the product, but their CTO, if he was the CEO, would be a tech founder type of thing, right? And so those are a little bit more rare, and Mike's definitely one of them. So I asked him, like, hey, so now that you're so busy running the company, don't you miss, like, it's your baby, but it evolves, right? Jira and Atlassian products evolve to levels that I don't know that I would be comfortable with if I was a tech founder, right? And the thing that resonates with me, and then that I want to tie it back in with JFrog, that he basically told me is like, hey, look, at one point you got to go from being a product to being a company.
Yeah.
And when they had just Artifactory, they were a product, right? Because if Artifactory went away, like, they were done. But now with their platform and the
all the
suite,
security pieces
yeah,
and the AI pieces, and
yeah. So that JFrog, I think, is maturing and becoming a company
mm-hmm.
with everything here.
I would say they became a company a number of years ago, but yes, your premise is 100%.
Well, they continue to mature.
Right.
I think they continue to push the envelope, and they continue.
Yeah.
They're really, like you said earlier, right? They're really positioning themselves in this age of AI, and they're concreting themselves into, like, okay, what's our role in this new era, and how are we going to help? And I love you have it on here, right? Their system of record, I think, was so critical, right? Because one thing that stood out to me from the announcements and everything, right? They're like, okay, so AI is building so much crap for us now, right? Because like every company is using AI, and like, I mean, I think they even throw out the
and at different levels, and the different mix of which AI tools they're using.
Yeah,
and some are officially allowed in, and some are shadow IT. And
but an interesting dynamic that's shifting is, it used to be that if you had one developer, they write, X number of lines of code. You want to push your throughput on X number of lines of code. Well, then you hire X number of coders to do that multiplying effect, right? And that's a scaling problem. But with AI, like, it's so easy to just on a daily basis produce what a developer used to produce in a year.
Yeah, but
right?
is it good? Yeah.
Whether it's good or not, that's different. But the thing that stood out to me that they said is, like, because of the pure volume that we're dealing with, again, whether it's good volume or bad volume, we can have a discussion in another episode, right? But the sheer volume, the number of times you're having to run your Artifactory stuff or your DevOps pipelines, right? The number of times you have to go through your deployments and do your Sonar Cube analysis and everything else is just infinitely more quicker now.
Yeah.
Because you're doing it so much more, because you have just so much more throughput on the coding aspect of it, which, again, the system of record and having that single source of truth, Artifactory is basically like saying, like, it used to be crazy to manage when you had a handful of developers writing code. Now imagine when you have 100x production on your code. It's going to be even crazier to manage. So I think all the announcements that they were coming out with was like, we're going to help you with that.
Well, let's jump to those announcements.
Yeah.
So we're in agreement that, hey, they knocked it out of the park, with their promises from last year.
Absolutely.
And, yeah. So here are I've kind of condensed these down to 4 major announcements. So they seem to be a lot more announcements on the first day than just 4. But a lot of them I was able to condense down to these 4 points.
Better you than me.
Yeah. So the very first one is they're trying to coin a new term again. So we had everyops last year, and now we have DevGovOps.
Which does not roll off the tip of your tongue easily.
No, none of these roll. So when you're coming up with a new term, 2 syllables or less. Anytime it's 3 or more, it's going to be tougher.
Game over for Sean's accents. It's interesting. Their social media lady had us like, what does DevGovOps mean to you? And I'm like, what the heck? I've never even heard of this term up until today.
Well, we just heard about it earlier that day.
But apparently I got to have an opinion on it too. So yeah, I think I gave her, I gave her a pretty good answer. I think she just nodded in happiness. So I don't know if I knocked it out of the park or not, but
yeah, I wonder if we'll get the videos to that. I'll have to ask because both of us got stopped in the hallway by the lead marketing person, and she asked us to answer these, like, what was that, 4 or 5 questions or something?
Yeah, 4 or 5 questions. Yeah.
And the big tough one was, what do you think about DevGovOps? And so I'll put
And
us
so-
right on the spot.
And so here's my comment on the DevGovOps. So I'll let you go in a second. I felt that the entire theme of the conference was going to be this, because they came out swinging, governance, compliance, security. The world is in a crazy mess. We got billions and trillions of lines of code coming out. God knows what AI is doing. It's hallucinating left and right, every which way. Like we're
we
gonna
need to
help
put some governance around all this stuff.
Yeah, so that's what I thought, and then we went over to not talk about that for the rest of the conference. But go ahead.
So they've got this new tool called the App Trust tool, which is their governance tool, and it's not available yet. So this is a theme. All their announcements, some of them are entering into a beta phase, but none of these were ready for client consumption yet. Where if we measure that against last year, some of the stuff that they announced last year was immediately available, and they made a point of it on the main stage. And after they announced it, I'm like, and this is ready today, and go to this URL. This year, not so much. Most of these were upcoming announcements, and I think we'll talk about this later. But there was one other tool that it was open for beta that day.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll. I love their theming of their stuff, by the way. We'll get into it. We'll get into it in a couple of seconds when we talk about that tool.
Yeah. So, and so the next one is dealing more with AI agents, and the whole.
But let's talk about this though, because I think it's an interesting word choice that they picked with the GovOps.
Okay. Yeah.
Because now that I'm revisiting this, my answer that I gave them is totally wrong.
Oh no!
And I think it's totally wrong, but it's not. I wouldn't. Okay, maybe totally wrong is an exaggeration.
Did you read off of what I answered, or were you not paying?
No,
attention?
I didn't even. I should have listened to you. I was talking with Catherine and the lady. No, I was talking with Catherine the whole time. Should have been paying attention to what you said. But the gov is the governance.
Yeah, not government. So
right.
When I originally heard about this, and when they explained it, I was thinking that this just helps government projects bring on new products quicker.
Yeah, and that's how I interpreted it too. So that's not. But that's why, like the big old G there. I probably would have. I would have probably called it like DevComp Ops or something.
Go with the compliance instead of the
instead of the government, because I'm immediately thinking GovCloud. Right.
Yeah, I would assume the majority of people hearing this for the first time are thinking government projects.
Which
I'm a little biased because I do a lot of government projects.
But and the government's obviously going to be one of the biggest manufacturers of this. But this does and will apply to all companies, regardless of whether they're regulated or not. I think at the end of the day, right, it's just because there's so many moving parts now. Right. And again, it's because we're in this era of AI and hallucination is very much a thing, right? And M dashes happen all day long. And these models aren't perfect. You need to have some sort of an established baseline that says this software meets a certain level of trust.
Yeah. Trust, security, quality. Yeah.
Which I think is going to be so important, because in this new era, you won't know what's fake or real. And so I think this is why this is going to be an important tool.
Yeah.
All right. Next.
Well, it's also I'm wondering how much this is going to bleed into all the other tools. The entire platform. And I think it has to. And I think it does work in conjunction with Artifactory.
I think. Well, I mean, it almost seems like it becomes like a blockchain for your code. Because you just can't trust half the stuff that AI is making.
That, or you can't trust half the things you're including. It goes to one of my favorite XKCD cartoons, where they show this giant castle, but the castle's being held up by one little tiny block on the bottom, and they're like, "This is my product. This entire castle. This little block is some open source module that hasn't been updated since 2020 from some guy in Nebraska. So I'm sure you've seen that graphic
Yeah.
before. But so yeah, that reminds me of that. And
Yeah, so very important, very important. And again, not just for governments.
Mhm.
Now, you can't be in 2025 in an AI conference without talking about agentified AI.
Yeah, that's the new spin on AI, is everything's agents now, which is good. And so basically the agents that they're talking about from the JFrog perspective is ones that are going to go out and verify your packages against known CVEs and things like that, and help you read the reports that are coming back, and then helping you address the findings in those security and vulnerability reports.
Yeah. Now, I'm a little bit worried about this only for one reason, and that is I don't have a whole lot of experience with agentified AI. And the experience I do have, and something called Rovo from one of our other partners, it
Yeah.
sucks so badly that it's putting like a bitter taste in my mouth, and I'm making it not. Like, my concern with agent remediation via AI agents is, well, how's it supposed to know if it's doing it right or not?
Well, yeah, my first hand, and I don't have a lot. I've been playing with these different things, and Rovo's one that I've played with. But from some of the other ones, the repeatability is not there. If I tell an agent to go do this one specific thing, and then it does it, I get results A, and I tell it to do it again, I get results set B. And there's yeah, it's not that they're completely different, but they're different enough that, well, which one was the correct one, or which one is the most correct?
Yeah.
And if I run it again, am I going to get a C, D, and E set of results? And do I then write another agent to say, look at the last 5 results from agent 1, and
find the best of all of them.
find the best combination. Summarize all of them, which seems to be a very common use case for an agent, is to point it at things and ask for a summary.
Yeah, but this concept of agentified or agentified AI here is really highlighting the importance of prompt engineering, right? Being able to prompt these things, because you aren't coding an agent per se. You're most likely using natural language to spawn an assistant of sorts that's going to go do something for you. So English is already a hard language. It's even harder when you're talking to a robot and telling it, I need you to do something explicitly.
Well, should we all convert to like Japanese or something to then code our
I need you to read that's not so much beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there and there are two very theirs. Very different there.
So another announcement was this too integrated to fail concept. And I was trying to narrow this down to a specific product that they announced, but I don't think it does. I think it overlaps a number of the products. And I kind of wish I had done this in a different order. So what I did do is I took my notes and some other websites, and I told AI to summarize the major announcements from the product, or from the conference, and this is the list that it gave me in this particular order. But I think we'll talk about this one product in both of these last announcements, and that's the big announcement was the product Fly, FLY. So I guess that kind of ties into the whole frog and swamp theme.
It does.
Now have
Lots of
flies.
flies in the swamp.
Yeah.
Lots of flies. No, I'm cautiously optimistic for this.
Mhm.
And the reason I'm cautiously optimistic is because integration is hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I know MCP is supposed to solve a lot of problems, but at the end of the day, business is still business, and I don't know that one vendor is incentivized to work well with another vendor.
Yeah.
Like, if I had to get JSM and ServiceNow to work together, it's not going to be easy. It's possible,
Mm-hmm.
but not going to be easy.
Well, in the old school style of integrations, you would integrate two products and you would have specific fields that you would map from one product to another, or specific data. And it was a, you know, a very setting up was a very, very manual process, but you always knew that you're going to get the data that was in, that was in your request. Now with MCP, the integrations are more fluid. It's like this tool can talk to that tool, and then you just tell your agent that, oh, I'm looking for this type of information, and the agent figures it out. And so I have the same concern that is is it going to figure out correctly, I guess I'm not as cynical on other vendors going to make it harder for other vendors to integrate with them. I can see that happening. I've seen it happen in the past.
I don't think it'll be intentional, right? But they're also not going to do it easily.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I don't think, I don't know. I don't feel like competitors are going to want to play nicely with each other.
Yeah. Oh, every time they come up with like an internet standard or an industry standard on how integrations should work, like, the whole, now I can't remember any of the acronyms. Back in the early 2000s, there was a standard on how like RCPs should work between or not RCPs, but anyway, how integration should work when you send a request. And yeah, vendors mostly followed that, but none of them followed it 100%, and all of them tweaked it a little bit. So, I'm trying to think. I'll forget. Completely forgot what the standard was called. And it'll come back to me after the session, after the episode. If I remember, I'll put it down on the bar.
Yeah. Well, so here's my other concern that I have with Fly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is, and I kind of made a comment to you, and I should have been more clear when I made the comment to you, but it was also, in the middle of a keynote, and it's kind of rude to talk.
Yeah, or I wasn't paying attention.
But I made, well, I mean, you definitely acknowledged my comment, but I didn't provide enough context during my comment. But my comment when they were talking about the Fly situation here, the Fly product that they're making, what is it called? Where are we at?
Oh, it's not called out specifically.
It's literally just Fly.
Yeah.
It's JFrog Fly, right? Mm-hmm. So my concern, because just to kind of tee up what it does, right? According to their model, right? Zero configuration software delivery. No setup, no scripts, just chat and build and deploy. Made for agentic IDEs with AI-powered workflows. One place for every artifact, store, share, manage, and sync everything from dev to prod without overhead or directly connected to your code repositories. And then agentic releases made real. Automatically capture the context needed for the agents to share and deploy releases on your behalf, semantically using natural language. And this is great, right? We take binaries, zeros and ones, code, and push it through, and it's deployed elsewhere in the world, and people get to use it. It takes a lot of the guessing game of how do I do my DevOps part of it out of the question a little bit, right? And it kind of helps you out. But what I leaned over to your shoulder and told you, and I said, where's Atlassian in all this?
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure I answered back that Atlassian has no crossover product for this.
They don't. Right. No. But a developer doesn't simply wake up in the morning and says, I'm going to deliver this. There's usually a ton of planning that goes in front of the delivery. Yeah. So that's why I was very...
Yeah, where's the project management
part that governs? Yeah. Because this world is going to create such a disconnect between what is agreed upon and what's in the developer pipeline and what gets pushed out. And I can see such a huge disconnect. Like, developers are going to go develop, and the PMs are going to be left like Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Like, what happened?
Yeah, I definitely can see the need for, so back in the day, we used to call this release engineering. and that there would be a release engineer assigned to the project, and they're few and far between. Plus, release engineering has morphed over the years, and they would understand what needs to be packaged and released together to where. These days, a lot of customers or a lot of companies are just deploying to the web, and they're just deploying the latest thing up to the web, or to the cloud, or to wherever. But back in the day, you had to care about what version the client previously was on, what packages they needed, what change fixes they needed, and you'd have to orchestrate all of that. And there's never really been a great tool to do this for you. It's pretty much been spreadsheets or a Confluence page or something like that. You'd have a wiki that would describe what went into each release. You generate release notes and all that. So I definitely see the need for a tool in there. Fly does some of that for you. I don't know if it does all of it for you. Of course, we haven't started playing with the beta yet.
Yeah.
So release team, DevOps tool specialists. We provide professional services and software reselling around the leading software DevOps tools like Atlassian, GitLab, GitHub, JFrog, and others. To talk with us about DevOps, here's our contact information. Please call 866-887-0489 or via email at info@releaseteam.com.
I'm just very concerned that development is going to become a black box to everybody outside of the development realm. But at the same time,
I think it always has been.
It always has been, but you've always had to communicate because of the challenges, because of the complexities of getting software out. It's not something you can just do, right? There's usually a lot of coordination that has to go in place to get software onto a robot or onto some platform.
To wherever you're delivering it to. Yeah.
But this way, anybody can do it. So now imagine the opposite. The PM says, well, screw this. We don't need. I can see companies going, well, forget the developers. We can just do it ourselves.
Yeah.
And what kind of mayhem is that going to cost?
Yeah. And not only just the hell with the developers, the hell with the ops team. We can just do this ourselves. And, because you typically, and the whole problem with DevOps, and you made it DevOps instead of Dev and Ops, was the ops team never wants change, and the dev team wants change all the time. And so, hey, if you can just use Fly instead of an ops team, which I'm not saying you can, but if you extend it out to the extreme, we don't need any of these ops people slowing us down, saying no, you can't deploy, to us every 2 minutes. You're like, no, I'm going to make Fly deploy to you every 2 minutes.
Yeah. No, it's I don't know. I'm a little bit worried now, more than anything.
Oh, I didn't mean to scare you off.
Well, I'm not scared. It's just like I've been in situations, like I've worked with a lot of companies, and this is probably even more true for like startups where they don't like. So here's the situation I was in. So I worked at a small startup that was made by PhDs.
Is this the 400-person startup?
Yeah. Okay, so it was made by PhDs, and there were neuroscientists PhDs. There weren't even developers in any way, shape, or form. So when they came up with the platform, they developed the technology to make the autonomy happen of the vision on the robot, right? And that was great, but they hand jammed everything, right? Like everything was hard coded because they were like teaching themselves how to they were teaching themselves how to code as they were building the product. Because they were scientists. They weren't developers.
Does company still exist?
Yes, they do. Okay. They got smart and hired a bunch of scientists and rewrote the entire architecture when I was there. So they had to, right? Because they couldn't scale. They physically could not move on to another product line because everything was hard-coded to work on a very specific model of a robot. Right?
Yeah.
And this Fly thing worries me for two reasons. Reason number one is it's going to empower developers to do so much more, which means that they could, if they wanted to, disregard any of the processes or project management part of it, right? the Atlassian stuff. But then the opposite is also very true. It's going to empower anybody to have an idea and deploy it. But just because you can doesn't mean you should.
True. Yeah. So by bypassing any existing rules and policies, that reminds me of Agile. And Agile was used as an excuse to avoid all the policies of the past. When you rolled out Agile in companies back in the early 2000s, you'd say, well, I don't have to listen to the software CM team because I'm Agile. I don't have to follow these rules because I'm Agile. It was a completely bogus way to position Agile, but that's what a lot of companies ended up doing, and for sometimes for the good. They got rid of old rules that didn't make sense. Is something like Fly, where it's now actually at a tool level, where Agile never really was at a tool level; it was more a concept, and probably some project management tools came close to implementing Agile, but none of them were a true tool for Agile. Is Fly the tool that now lets us unshackle from rules that haven't made sense in decades, yet we still follow them in software development?
I would at a minimum love to see Fly integrate with Jira so that I can see the status of things and see which work items, forever issues, made it into the release and made it into that build that actually went out.
Yeah, we're going to be joining the beta for Fly, and me meaning my company, or we meaning my company. Alex may or may not join along.
I thought I got adopted last week. I got tired of telling people I wasn't at release team. Then I was like, it's easier for me to just tell people I'm at release team.
I'm with these guys. Yeah.
And then everybody's like, what are you guys doing? I'm like, Sean, what do we do?
You should know what we do, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. And then one last announcement, or a couple more announcements, right? Because we're running this along.
Yeah, and these kind of get all merged together into categories instead of the actual announcement. But yeah, and we've already talked about that. So the AI catalogs was another product announcement, and one that I didn't quite follow as much as Fly. So after they announced Fly, all these other announcements seem to come, quickly and heavily. But I was still thinking about what Fly can do. So do you remember the AI catalogs? Basically, so
I was in and out. Once after the keynote, I had to go in and out. I had a couple meetings to attend to that I couldn't get out of.
They also skipped the break on the first day because they ran over. So here's a little criticism. If I don't get some influx of sugar around 10 o'clock in the morning, then I'm not 100% paying attention to anything announced after that. But anyway, the AI catalogs, from what I understand, and I could be wrong, was just a way of JFrog cataloging all the other AI tools that are out there and helping you get a better understanding of what might be more helpful for whatever situation you're trying to solve with an AI tool. And I thought that was important. I'm not exactly sure how I use that with Artifactory or another platform tool. How do I incorporate the AI catalog? But I thought it was interesting because I do feel that I have AI overload. I try to catch up on what's going on with AI, and it just seems impossible to keep up. I'm not sure if AI catalogs is meant to help with that, but I definitely see where it could. Yeah, that's. I'm not convinced that's the main point of the AI catalogs, but that was what I got from the announcement. And I also don't believe this is ready for purchase or ready for the public yet. I do think that they announced that it would be available for a beta soon. and I don't remember them giving a date for that. So I did know that Fly is open for beta now, but the AI catalogs I wasn't sure about, as well as the repositories.
Cool. And what else we got?
I think we can wrap it up because we're pretty. We ran a little long on this one.
Yeah, but overall, final thoughts on the SwampUP?
Well, one of the final thoughts that I wanted to add is SwampUP 2026 is happening roughly the same time next year, but it will be in New York City.
But it's the week of Labor Day weekend.
Is it the week of Labor Day
weekend?
1
day late. It starts on Tuesday.
Oh, so if we're going, which I plan on going, that means that I will be traveling during Labor Day.
Yeah, which means you probably could get away with traveling on Friday.
I could and make it a long
3-day weekend in NYC. Yeah, New York City.
Yeah. I'm assuming that Labor Day weekend is a busy time in New York City.
I've never been, so and also
good time of year to visit. Yeah,
I've never been, but I also do know that if you do book now, if you get your ticket at least, right, you can probably get your flight because it's going to be in New York City. The hotel, we've been told to hold up on that.
Yeah, but we've been told that there's a couple possibilities on the hotel.
Yeah, a couple possibilities on the hotel, but flights to NYC, it's going to be obviously, there's like what, two, three big airports there, LaGuardia, JFK, and Teterboro.
You got the one in New Jersey, Newark.
Yeah. So there's at least 3 out there, and then it's going to be September 1st through the 3rd or something like that.
Again, I don't remember the exact dates, but
I'll
throw a graphic in at this point.
But right now, the best part is that it is $100.
Yeah, $100 early bird.
Super early, yeah. And Sean, if you're gonna take 2 more people, then you might as well throw me in because it's $80 if you take 3.
Yeah, I'll throw you in. Yeah. So I didn't see that there was a bundle. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, if you get 3 people in the JFrog pass, like $83 right now.
So save $17 a person if you do the early bird bundle now.
Okay. But you gotta get at least 3 people.
I'll throw the graphic up with the link to the registration right here. So it's here now.
And it's kind of cool. Like I had never been to a JFrog. I've been to Atlassian events. Atlassian events are expensive. This event was not expensive. Atlassian events are huge, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people. This was 500 or less. Walked away with some very meaningful conversations with people.
I saw one of your LinkedIn posts saying that you had a great conversation like 11:30 at night after one of the after hours. So I'm trying to remember which night were we there that late.
After the dinner and after the performance.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, am I forgetting? Was I at that event?
Well, right after I dropped you off in your car, we went back.
Okay. Oh, you went back in.
The party was still going.
Yeah, I'm assuming it probably went to 2 or 3 in the morning.
You could tell by the number of people that did not show up at 9 a.m. the next day.
Yeah.
But no, it was great conversations. Met with the Canadian couple. Met with this other couple out of the East Coast, out of Boston. They confused me. They were either in Boston or North Carolina or Florida.
Well, those are very far apart.
No, but the number of connections was awesome. Just people that I never would have otherwise met, because I'm so deep into the Atlassian world. Like everybody in Atlassian, that was also kind of
I'm trying to break you out of that.
Yeah, it was a very humbling experience to also just be able to freely walk around with everybody bombarding me.
Because not everyone, you're not on all of JFrog's marketing material.
Yeah, give it a year. Wait until we make like the JFrog channel here. Everybody will know by the time we get to New York City.
Okay. Well, I'll throw the details in also in the show comments as well. So.
All right. Hit the subscribe button, drop a like.
Yeah. All right. Bye, everyone.